Welcome everyone to Almaty, Kazakhstan, where we have the World Cadets under 10 girls going on. On the left of your screen is Sharvaanica AS, one of India's biggest talents in girls chess. Just 10 years old, Sharvaanica is so good. She's almost rated 2000. Her opponent is Nandinjiguur Chinzorig. Nandinjiguur is playing an incredible tournament. She's on 7 out of 7. Sharvaanica, meanwhile, is on 6 out of 7. She lost her first round itself and then has scored 6 wins in a row. So this will be a very important game for Sharvaanica. d4, d5, knight to f3. And Chinzorig plays knight to f6. Bishop comes out to f4. The London system has been played. And now pawn to c5. Pushing the pawn forward. e3 by Sharvaanica here. And Chinzorig plays knight to c6. A very solid line with black, where you get your bishop out to g4 and then put the pawn on e6. And that's exactly what she does. These youngsters are so well prepped up. h3, very interesting move, because if you play bishop h5, g4 and bishop b5 is a nice line. So bishop takes f3, taken here by Chinzorig, and look at the time on her clock, 1 hour 31 minutes. She's still in her preparation. Amazing. And now e6 is much better, but she decides to take. And this gives white a small edge. E takes d4. White has the bishop pair right now. But black would want to neutralize the bishop with bishop d6. So e6 played. And now Sharvaanica plays c3. You can see that this structure is very interesting. White has the e5 square. Bishop d6 played. And now bishop takes on d6. Look at Sharvaanica just sitting on the chair there. Queen takes d6, and now you put your bishop on d3. And what you are essentially saying as white is that my bishop is superior to your knight. It's attacking the king side. It's well positioned. Black castles here. And white also will castle. Yeah. And then rook e1, maybe it's one of the moves here. Goes rook fc8. And Sharvaanica goes rook e1. Generally, black's plans revolve around playing the minority attack here with b5, b4. a6 played, knight jumped into a5. b5, and Sharvaanica stopped the pawn with a3. Knight jumps to a5. So Chinzorig trying to create play on the queen side with knight jumping in here, looking at the b3 square. But Sharvaanica says, I now am going on the attack. h6 played here. We have rook to e2 played. The rook moves up. And now knight to c4. The knight jumps in, but you can see that the rook is doing an incredible job of defending here. And look at what Sharvaanica does now. g4. She's going all out for the attack. Chinzorig has to be very careful. Queen goes to e7. And now should we go all out on the attack? Well, it's very good to include your last piece in the game. Look at the white pieces. Beautiful. Beautiful position. And Chinzorig goes knight d6. She wants both her knights to aim at the e4 square. But Sharvaanica makes... She's going to move her queen, which is another amazing move. She plays queen g2. Her idea is to meet knight e4 with f3. Kicking the knight away. g5. This is a bit of a panic here by the Mongolian player. g5 played, and Sharvaanica goes bishop b1. Another very interesting idea by her. She wants to go knight d3 to c5, because after b5 this square is weakened. King g7 played. And now knight comes back to d3. Fantastic chess, I must say. And black now bit too passive with knight b7, because yes, you control the c5 square, but the knight is misplaced, and that was all that Sharvaanica needed to open up the king side. Knight jumps into e4, and now a very powerful move is knight f2, offering a trade. Yes, exactly. And after you take here, I'm going to take with the rook, and look at my pieces. Black goes f5, trying to solidify the knight in the center, but g takes f5. Another great move by Sharvaanica, and Chinzorig takes back. E takes f5. And now it's time to break in the center. Bishop e4 played. You can see 3 black pieces on the queen side, a little bit offside. And Sharvaanica doesn't need invitation now to attack. Boom! Knight takes e4. What a move. If d takes e4, you have rook e4 followed by rook e7 check, at taking the knight at the very least. So Chinzorig plays queen f8, but now knight takes g5. Boom! Another beautiful move. If you take here, I have queen takes, and if king goes back, well, you have rook entering in, or just queen check and rook coming to g2. So king h8 played here by Chinzorig, and now Sharvaanica moves in with the knight to e6. This is game over. This is absolute destruction here. White is already 2 pawns up, and Sharvaanica is not averse to a queen trade. Rook jumps into e5. Queen takes g2. King takes g2. And now d5 is hanging. So goes knight to a5. And the third pawn bites the dust now. Rook takes d5 played. This is such a critical win for Sharvaanica in this tournament, because Nandinjiguur Chinzorig has been playing incredible chess here. She has had 7 wins in a row. And with this, Sharvaanica will actually equalize the score at the top. Both will move to 7 points. You know, Sharvaanica is a very is the girl who has long streaks. I remember that when she was playing the national championship, I forget the exact age group, but maybe it was under 7, I believe, where she scored 11 out of 11. Then she played another Asian championship where she also won it, like all the games she won. So she is known for that. And now you can see here b3 pushing the knight. Here she's already had a streak of 6 wins, and with this she will extend it to 7. Rook jumps to e5. Now attacking the rook here on g5, because earlier the rook on e2 was hanging. Rook h5 played by Nandinjiguur, and knight to f4. Rook takes rook. Rook takes rook, taken here. And now rook to g5 played. Sharvaanica goes rook e6. She attacks the knight on b6 and also the pawn on h6. Knight d7 played. And knight g6 check. The rest of the game is quite straightforward, and you will see that Sharvaanica now wins a piece as well. One of the things that you see at the World Cadets is how the players actually play until the bitter end. So we will look at the entire finish of the game, but just so that you know, Sharvaanica is now in joint lead, and 7 out of 8, and her opponent is also on 7 out of 8. With 3 rounds to go, this will be a super interesting event to follow. The World Cadets 2025 happening in Kazakhstan.